Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm back with another review, and yet again trying something a bit different here. This is not for a movie which I feel gets no love, or I ever, don't really hear much about. It's not necessarily for one that I enjoyed, which I tend to stick to. I try to, just share the ones I like, not the ones that I don't like. And it's not even one that just dropped, or even one film, but three films. Halloween 2 from 1981, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch from 1982, and Halloween 4 The Return of Michael Myers from 1988. So growing up, I was not really familiar with the Halloween films. I'd kind of seen little bits and pieces here and there. I knew about the franchise, but I was more into the Friday the 13th films and the Nightmare on Elm Street films and a lot of little just random one-off horror films that we would rent on, in the days of VHS. So I'd seen bits and pieces of the first Halloween film, but I hadn't actually sat and watched it until probably the early 2000s sometime. And while I enjoyed it, and I very much admit that back when it first came out, it was likely very shocking, groundbreaking, and ushered in, or at the very least kind of promoted that kind of stalker slasher type film, or type horror film. I probably still would have given it that A plus back then, but I think growing up with a lot of movies that had been inspired by this and had kind of, taken that torch and run with it, both the good ones and the bad ones along the way. I think nowadays I probably would have given the original Halloween about an A minus just because it kind of drags in a little, a few spots here and there. But instead, this video isn't about, Halloween 1. Instead, it's about me catching up on the Halloween films, the entire franchise. I'm going to do several of these videos along the way because while I had seen some of the Halloween films up until this month, I had only ever seen the original Halloween from 1978, Halloween age 20. I have no idea why I went out to see that, being that I hadn't seen the other ones before it. That was from 1998. The Rob Zombie remake of Halloween, which I remember enjoying. And the one that I just kind of call the McBride Re-2, kind of like basically Danny McBride and some other filmmakers decided to make another Halloween film. This is the most recent one that they have another sequel to coming out where they said, well, this Halloween film is going to be a sequel to the one from 1978. Ignore everything else that happened in there. And I think that was a very wise move. But the video's not about that either. It's just about me catching up. So for the ones that I never saw, I'm going to catch up on those as well as rewatch some that I had only seen once, such as Halloween Age 20 and the Rob Zombie Halloween as well. Because I've seen the original one probably 4 or 5 times by now. Love it. Think it's great. Good, solid A minus movie. So recently, in the course of 3 days, I went through Halloween 2, Halloween 3, and Halloween 4, and here's what I thought. Just note, there might be some minor spoilers. I'm going to try to leave out some major things here and there. But so I won't be going into that much detail, but just more what I liked and disliked about them. So Halloween 2 from 1981. The film takes place immediately after the first movie. Like, I think it actually even overlaps by a few minutes from the ending of Halloween into Halloween 2. So we got Jamie Lee Curtis back and Donald Pleasance back as well. And the addition of Lance Guest, who I'd pretty much only known from The Last Starfighter, which, great movie growing up. And actually, I saw the first reaction video I'd ever seen from another YouTuber recently from JV Galactic. I'm going to make sure to link that in the description because it's great to see somebody experiencing that film for the first time. Anyways, like the original film, Halloween 2, I feel is definitely a slow burn. It kind of, it's that late night, the town is reacting to this word spreading about a madman who had murdering someone or someones. What happened to the girl? Are the kids okay? And Donald Pleasance's character, Dr. Loomis, is understandably freaked out because, and here's one minor spoiler from the first movie, he shot Michael Myers and he fell off this balcony, and when they went to try to find him, he was gone. They actually mimicked this in the most recent Halloween movie, not the Halloween Kills, but the one that came out about 2 or 3 years ago. Anyways, so you look at Michael Myers from that and from Dr. Loomis's point of view, he's just pure evil incarnate. You can't reason with him. He doesn't really even have motive. He's just evil. And, he's understandably freaked out. So much of the film deals with how Loomis is in this total panic mode, trying to get people in the town to understand, this guy is still on the loose. They need to make sure he's dead. And it flows pretty well. There are a few stretches here and there that kind of drag a little bit, but ultimately it works as well as the original does. But I would say my main complaint and why I kind of knocked this down a little bit would be because of the character of Laurie, played again by Jamie Lee Curtis. In this sequel, it's for a lot of it at the beginning, it's like she's not even really a part of it. You know, she's in the hospital, she's knocked out, she's not really engaged in what's happening in the story. For most of the beginning of the film, it feels like that, and so it really got me much more interested in Loomis and how he's handling, this guy getting out, killing people, and now being on the loose. And then every now and then it would veer off to stuff going on with the paramedics. One of them played by Lance Guest. So it was kind of a bit all over the place with that, much like how my reviews are. Anyways, honestly, I think that the story would have been better if Laurie just wasn't in it at all and we just concentrated on Loomis. And you save Laurie for like a surprise return in another film, kind of like they did with Nancy in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. But when she does ultimately come back into the story, kind of wakes up, she delivers a great performance. But here's another weird thing. They made her Michael's sister. That's giving Michael motivation to go after her, is to try to kill her like when he was a little kid and he killed his other sister. So it didn't really seem like a good idea, in my opinion, to do that. I think they could have gone in a different direction, but I guess ultimately, it kind of works for the film. And it does come up later, but I just felt like I didn't really understand why they were trying to force that connection. I like the idea that Michael was just pure evil and that's it. No motivation. You can't get away from him. But yes, this is a nice, dark, slow late night film, creepy. It amplifies Loomis's obsession with the fact that Michael is not just some psycho, but something of pure evil, practically inhuman. He's taken all those shots and survived. He can take a beating. He's super strong, etc. It makes him more scary than he was in the first film. So it does even out some of those choices that I didn't care for about Laurie being his sister. But I will knock this one down a bit because it just kind of moves, kind of slow. So I'd give it about a C+. So here's where things get interesting with Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch from 1982. No Laurie in this one. No Loomis in this one. There's not even Michael in this one. Now, I haven't done any research about how they marketed this when it first came out, but from what I understand, they were trying to change the Halloween franchise into an anthology where the first two films were part of an anthology that just involved this killer, Michael Myers. And part 3 was going to be the next step in the anthology to have a completely different story. This one involving some Halloween masks being marketed to children, as well as a contest on Halloween night while watching Halloween on TV. So it gets very meta in that they're actually playing Halloween in Halloween 3. So they definitely went in a very different direction with this. And, this one stars Tom Atkins, who I know mostly from Night of the Creeps. That's, I probably watched Night of the Creeps 50 times growing up. So he'll always be my Night of the Creeps guy. But anyways, he plays a doctor who's trying to help this woman track down what happened to her father, because he seemed like he was seemingly just assassinated for some reason. He was murdered by some psycho. And his father seemed to have just kind of poked his nose where it shouldn't have been, and got himself perished, to quote old T-Bird from The Crow. So for years, I'd heard this film was trash and to completely avoid it, partially because I know Michael Myers. But in recent years, this following has started becoming much more vocal, of these people that have become very passionate about it, that it has this cult following. So checking it out was definitely going to be interesting. And honestly, I don't see what the big deal was. Yeah, there's no Michael, sure. But if you get over that and understand that they were trying to change this franchise into an anthology, what you're left with is a really strange horror movie with a lot of aspects of sci-fi kind of dashed on top of that, when it comes to these masks and this computer signal going over the TVs to, cause mayhem. And this may be a very unpopular opinion, but I like this one better than part 2. I felt it moved along better. It was very original, and I would give Halloween 3 Season of the Witch a nice B-. And it's definitely worth checking out, especially because you don't have to have seen any other films in the Halloween franchise to enjoy it, because it's its own little story. And Tom Atkins is fucking awesome. Anyways, now here's where I changed things up a little bit more, in that with Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers from 1988. I guess having that title and coming after such a long break, I believe is about 6 years, if my math for very small numbers works out well. It was almost like they were saying, okay, we're sorry, here, Michael is back, okay? And okay, he's back. And Loomis is back. Laurie is not, as her character was very unceremoniously just killed off screen in a car crash. Some more little minor spoilers I'm going to put in there. So her daughter is being raised by another family, and Michael is now after this little girl. So I guess that continues with his idea of killing family members. So I guess there was some reason to make him Laurie's brother, but I just don't really see what is really adding to it. I still like the idea more that Michael is just evil. But where I really deviate on this is that normally I only make videos about films that I enjoy, because if I enjoy it, I want to share it. If I don't, I'd rather not say much about it, because others may enjoy it quite a bit and I don't want to rain on their parade. And maybe I just wasn't a target audience or just didn't get it. Doesn't mean it was a bad movie. With this one, honestly, the thing that I enjoyed the most about it were the opening credits, where they're showing different Halloween like setups in this town, seeing Halloween come into full effect. They got these really great creepy shots that are built out. And it was, they also had some really good performances. I mean, everybody did a good job, but Danielle Harris, particularly as, Laurie's daughter, did an amazing job. But outside of that, overall, I didn't really enjoy the film that much. It really dragged. There are many times where either because it wasn't written well or it was shot or edited poorly, that I just lost track of what was going on. And it might just be that I was, getting bored with what was going on and I was letting my mind wander. But yeah, I had to even rewind it a few times to kind of figure out, like, did I miss something here? Like, where's Laurie? What did I miss, a line of dialogue or something? And even the special effects, the scar on Loomis's face from the burns that he got from on Halloween 2 during some of the fights, even that effect seems to change at points in the movie. At one point it looks one way, and then like a few scenes later it's another. Like, they didn't even just have one person on the set with a freaking Polaroid to take some pictures for the continuity as they're reapplying this appliance the next day. Anyways, now I understand where they were going with this. Halloween 3 wasn't received very well. They didn't like that. People didn't like that Michael Myers wasn't in it, so they wanted to bring him back into the movie, and this time focus on his niece. And they, I understand that, but it didn't work that well for me. They also set it up where his niece will be more important going forward, and there is some big twist with that I'm not going to go into. But honestly, I mean, I just give this film a D. Mainly it was bumped up to a D just because of the performances and the intent of what they were trying to do with it, even though they failed. So I'll give it a D. It's not one to skip, but don't get your hopes up. I really liked Halloween 3 a lot better. So there we have it. Halloween 2, pretty good. Halloween 3, even better. Halloween 4, it happened. They made a movie called Halloween 4. So that's about all that I have to say with that. But, even with this lackluster part 4, I am looking forward to seeing these next ones, especially H20, because I'd seen that one in the theater for some reason. And if I recall correctly, I actually saw a double feature where I went out to see Basketball, of all movies, and then afterward went in to see Halloween H20. So that's probably the strangest mix of a double feature since I saw Moulin Rouge and Fast and the Furious, making me want to race my car and sing show tunes. Anyways, getting off track there. But it'll be interesting when I get to go into it and see it, having seen all the other films that led up to it. I may end up liking it a lot more than I did before, which before I thought it was entertaining, but I never cared to watch it again or watch any others in the franchise. So, my next plan here is to do Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, H20, 20 years later, and then the Halloween Resurrection. It's gonna be a lot of content. I don't know if I'll put those 4 into one video or if I'm going to split them up more, because then I also have to rewatch Rob Zombie. We rewatch his Halloween 2, and of course I'm going to rewatch the latest Halloween before seeing Halloween Kills, because I thought it was amazing, and I think they're really taking it in a great direction. It's going to be a lot of Halloween for Halloween. I think one of these days I'm going to have to do the same thing for Nightmare on Elm Street, because I haven't seen 4, 5, 6 or Wes Craven's New Nightmare in probably over 10 years. Anyways, this was definitely a bit longer than usual, and I just want to thank everybody for watching, and be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Check out some of my other content as well, and consider subscribing and sharing. It really does help a lot. If I know that people are watching these and enjoying them, it just helps me, want to make more of them as well. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one, The Return of Catterday Night. See you later, everyone.